So I would like to have a warm welcome to Dan Goerke. He is the author of Unforgettable, Unbelievable, A Journey of Telepathy and Compassion in Alzheimer's Care. You describe yourself as a Reiki master and telepathic intuitive who provides a link between caregivers and their loved ones who have become silent. So I am someone who was reading this book while I was actually taking care of my father, who has dementia, young, early onset dementia, and I was sobbing the entire book. And I had no idea who you were, but I was just like, who is this soul? I need to meet this soul. I'm an avid reader. I read like many books in a year, and I've never once reached out to an author. And I needed to talk to you. I was just like, how can the world know about you and your work and this book? And I was just deeply called to be like, phone him. Don't even email him, just call him. And so I did. And I left a long message. And I'm so glad I think that I have this platform today to be able to have the chance to talk to people like you, because I was just like, I think even in my phone message, I was like, you are my future self. Like what you're doing, I want to be doing. And I want to learn from you. And I want the whole world to know about you. And you kindly text message me back just a couple hours later, like, yes, your future self would be happy to have a meeting with you. And now we've just been in contact, and it's such a pleasure to be with you and learn about you. And so welcome, Dan.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And I love your energy, love your beautiful soul, love the compassion and love you have for your dad too, as he goes through this journey and as your family goes through this journey. I think it's so important to do what you're doing, not hide your head in the sand and pretend it's not Alzheimer's. So I really appreciate you reaching out and love our conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember asking my mom about her perception of the book, and she said, because she's the primary caregiver of my father right now, and it is 24-hour care. And
Yeah.
your book impacted me so much early on when you said that Alzheimer's is the caregiver's disease.
Yeah.
And that hit me really hard because, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm worried about caregivers. It is a 24-hour job. And I don't think people really realize the magnitude of that. And I don't realize it either until I'm offering respite for my mother. And after a
Yeah.
week, I'm so exhausted. I'm so energetically exhausted. On a physical level, it's okay. I
Yeah.
walk with him, I talk with him, I make him food. He's easy on a physical level. But
Right.
there's something like, I don't know, I'm not used to caregiving 24/7. It's hard. And so she was like, yes, I read the book, nodding and crying the entire way through. And then I cried the entire way through. And then my sister, she's like, oh, you guys are so soft. Like, I'm not going to cry in this book. We're like, okay, sure. I would love for you not to cry during this. And then she started reading it and she goes, okay, you guys were right. She goes, page 5, I was sobbing. And I was like, wow, that was even a record. I didn't even start crying at page 5, but I want to quote what made her be moved so much. I have so much to say. I'll let you talk, but I have so
No,
much
no,
to
go
say
ahead.
because I love to know how other people perceived your book as well. And my sister said she started crying when on page 5 you write, and I'll quote, when you saw your vibrant wife break down in tears, saying her biggest fear after being diagnosed is when it gets really bad and I have forgotten my children's names, that and that they will stop coming to see me.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's I imagine that would be a fear. And it's like even my father, when I was taking care of him,
Yeah.
he didn't really know who I was or know my name at times. And I was surprisingly like, I just don't care. I feel like it
Yeah.
just doesn't matter if he
Yeah.
knows this label. Like, who cares? It doesn't matter. I can still love him and he can still love me without all these labels. So, how is
Yeah.
that for you? Did your wife Denise ever forget about you or forget your name or?
No, she didn't. And that was one of the amazing things that happened is that she never forgot us, even when at the very end, she may not have been able to communicate verbally through her physical self, of who we were or remember our names, but you could see when we showed up in the room, her face would light up, smile. So it was an interesting dynamic because I thought going into the journey that yeah, she would eventually forget who we are, and much like you, it really didn't matter. In the end, we
Mhm.
we are going to continue to show up for her anyway and take care of her. But yet that never happened. She knew us and knew who we were up until the very end. And if I can add a little bit, to your point about what Alzheimer's and dementia is when we got the diagnosis, I had no idea. Well, excuse me, I'll take that back. I knew two things about Alzheimer's, and that was that Denise was going to lose her memories and that she would pass away from this disease. And the day after the diagnosis, I did this deep dive on the internet into Alzheimer's and what it was and what was going to happen because I didn't want to shy away from it. And I knew that I had to be the best caregiver I could be for her, so I needed to learn more about the disease. And I was blown away by what I read and what I quickly realized was going to happen to her, which was far more than just losing your memory. I mean, the worst part is really the loss of their personality and who they are. The essence of their personality slowly and sometimes quickly goes away, and that's the hardest part. And just to see them learn about the struggles that people have, doing simple tasks, and it's like, oh my God, the weight of this disease quickly descended on me, and I just thought I've got to get help. And that's when I reached out. Like I encourage all caregivers to do is to reach out for help. It doesn't matter where, just keep reaching out. I connected with the Alzheimer's Association quickly. I got involved in support groups because this disease is like no other. And I remember early on people saying, this is a disease about the caregivers. And I said, no, 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 no. This is a disease Denise has. It's a disease about Denise. And this is all about her. And about 2 or 3 months into the caregiving role that I had, I said, yeah, you know what? This is about the caregivers
Mhm.
because of all the stress and strain involved. And
Mhm.
sometimes it comes gradually. Sometimes all that stress, comes over time because, as you may know, all of a sudden, especially as a spouse of someone, but it happens with kids and their parents. But spousal, as a spouse, you share duties and chores and things like that around the house. And soon enough, it switches around to where the caregiver is doing everything, from whatever cleaning to managing her prescriptions. I say you become a pharmacist, you become a doctor, you become a scheduler, you become a chauffeur because they can't drive, and you help every aspect of their daily care, cooking, serving meals. And while, it may not sound like a lot, but it's the fact that one happens right after the other. And at the end of the day, I remember just being so utterly exhausted from everything that I had to do. And that's the real gotcha, so to speak, with the disease and being a caregiver is that all of these responsibilities fall on you because your loved one can't simply do those things anymore.
Mhm. Yeah, just to give the audience a bit of a backstory, your wife Denise was diagnosed at the young age of 56. And you were her caregiver for, I believe, for over 12 years.
Yes, yes.
Wow. And so this book shares, the difficult yet often sometimes the humorous stories with being a caregiver. And yeah, I have pages of, my dad before Alzheimer's, he loved to be center of attention. He loved to be young and goofy at heart. Um, and he was always trying to be funny, and I rarely laughed at him. I would just roll my eyes. And now he is hilarious. Everywhere I go, I come back with the funniest stories because he doesn't have ego. Well, I perceive he dropped from his head to his heart. So now he's
Mhm.
like pure feeling, pure heart, less ego, and he is hilarious. Like he's funnier
Yeah.
now than like he was ever before dementia, I think. Um, but yeah, going back to caregiving, I was saying this our first meeting, I perceive the caregivers, the Mother Teresa's of the world that aren't the silent Mother Teresa's that no one knows about. You guys are like devoting selfless service 24 hours a day. And I don't think people realize this. I get glimpses of this when I take care of my dad for 1 to a couple weeks. And then I go home to my peaceful life again. And we try and offer my mom respite. But day one, she gets back and she's overwhelmed again, overwhelmed
Yeah.
with stress. And when people often go to me, "Oh, JD, how's your dad?" And I'm just like, "You're asking the wrong question." I'm like, "I think my dad is blissed out. He yes, he gets frustrated like we all do, but you guys are not asking, how is my mom? How is my sister? They're the ones there just looking after him every week, every day. So I want this to like be a message of that there is support for caregivers of what you do.
Hmm.
And you in your book have talked about how you kind of bridge the gap and you create this link now between caregivers and the silent ones. And so
Hmm.
do you want to speak more about how you do this?
Yeah, that was something I wasn't expecting. Okay. So the backstory was that this was probably about 2 or 3 years after the diagnosis. And Denise quickly started losing her ability to communicate. Okay. And she was down to maybe being able to say a few words, occasionally a few phrases. And I had was getting frustrated because I was having to guess at what she needed, when she needed it. And you ask them, certainly ask them questions. Hey, are you hungry? And no answers. Or you're trying to, in my case, she had trouble coordinating her brain to her body, that we were having trouble getting her physically in a car seat. I was having trouble getting her on the commode to take care of toileting. And it was just so incredibly frustrating. And there was, at that point, it would take upwards of an hour to get her into the bathroom and to take care of toileting. Just amazing. And I tell people this and they're like, "What?" And yeah, just because she couldn't, again, the brain couldn't connect to the body to tell the body something simple as go to the bathroom, right? So it had been a long day. I had gone to work there. At that point, I think I had hired a companion care person to come in to care for her during the day. But nonetheless, I had a tough day at work. Came home, made her dinner. We sat and watched dinner, or watched TV and had dinner. And she went to bed. She was an early bed person, like 7:30, 8 o'clock. Thankfully for me, she slept through the night. She would sleep 12 hours. And so yes, I had to worry about her wandering, but I didn't as well because she slept so deeply. So I stayed up a little bit longer and just kind of wanted to chill, had a glass of wine and watched a little more TV and probably had another glass of wine. And so I went to bed and just incredibly exhausted. And I was laying there in bed next to her. She is fast asleep. And I just had this thought in my head, Denise, it would be so much easier to help you out if you could talk to me. And I heard in my mind's eye, in my head, I heard her voice. It wasn't anybody else's voice. It was her voice, the intonation of her voice that said, talk to me. And I'm like, wow, okay. There was no hesitation. My intuition said, this is her, go with it. And I said, okay, tell me or show me how I can get you on the toilet easier. And she would communicate, you get telepathically with me because I looked down on at her and she was fast asleep. She was not awake. She communicated messages to me about how to position her. She would show me pictures in my mind's eye, do this, put your hand here, put your other hand here, do this, do that. And I'm like, okay, thank you. I always say thank you. And went to sleep. Woke up the next morning, and this is going to sound funny, but I was like, I'm really excited about getting you into the commode and trying to go to the bathroom, right? Who does that? Who's excited about going into the bathroom? I am. So I get her up. We go into the bathroom. And I'm doing exactly what she had showed me the night before and told me to do. And oh my gosh, in just a minute, she's sitting down and I am just celebrating. I've got hands up, yelling, and she looks at me and she goes, "Get out." Quit being an idiot standing here yelling, and so excited about me sitting on the toilet. And it was like, oh my gosh, it worked. It really worked. And it was a relief, obviously, for me, yet it was a relief for her too, because she's not struggling anymore to try and understand what I'm asking her to do. It was just so simple. And it just went on from there. I said, okay, okay. Again, telepathically, I said, okay, that worked great. Thank you. How about getting you in the car? How do we get you in a car seat better? Because again, she couldn't figure that out, and I couldn't figure out how to do it better. So again, she showed me telepathically and put images in my head, do this, do that, put my hands here and there. And I said, okay. So went out to the car the next time, and again, same thing. Within a few seconds, she's sitting in the car seat. This time, I'm walking around the back of the car, yelling and screaming in excitement because it had been so easy to do this. And it just went on from there. And I just said, this is an unbelievable gift. And it's a gift and it's not. I mean, everyone can do it. Okay. So I don't want to say that it's necessarily a gift wrapped in a box that anyone might get or someone might get, but it just went on from there in terms of, asking her questions about what she might want to eat, what she didn't want to eat, and different questions like that. And what was really satisfying, JD, was the fact that she would tell me messages like, Dan, you are doing great. You are a wonderful person. I love you. I love what you're doing. Thank you. She said thank you many, many times for stepping up and taking care of me. And obviously that was extremely rewarding and heartfelt, and just love that part of the telepathic communication that I had with her.
Yes, I love that. I remember all those stories in the book. I want you to reiterate all of them for the listeners, but that was that was such a profound thing actually for my sister too, because I wanted to hear like what really impacted other people. And so unexpectedly, I'm going to do a whole other podcast on how I got home. That was very synchronistic. My grandmother who passed over, she helped me get back home to help my father. And so that's a whole other podcast. But we were very unexpectedly looking for memory care homes that last week. And my sister, we are going to go like sign papers that day. And this has been 6 months of me begging my mom, like, please, like, yes, mom, you are an amazing caretaker. You are taking care of father. But it's the being at home, and he's so social. He's an extrovert. Like, he knows everyone, he loves everyone. And to be at home, he's missing that social aspect. And so I wanted him to be somewhere more social. So, anyways, we found the most magical place, all divinely lined up, whole other story, another day. And my sister that morning woke up at 4 a.m. My sister is not a morning person at all. This is very unlike her. And she was reading your book for a good hour. And she got to the quote, she got to page 101 that said, you received a telepathic message from your wife after visiting her from a care home saying, you did good. Thank you.
Yeah.
And that line, my sister burst into tears and cried whatever she needed to release, because I guess she was really wanting that message too of like, it's okay, we're doing good. And then she went back to sleep until more morning hours. But I guess that would be nice to hear, because it's always this fear of like, did we make the right decision? Are
Yeah.
they okay? Are they happy? And
Yeah.
I remember I said this to my mom too, begging her, because my mom just really resisted this. Like, she's like, I can take care of him. He can eat. He can go to the bathroom. Like, I've got this. It's like, yeah, but he did an assessment. He's still pretty a high level of like
Hmm.
needing care. Like, even though he can feed himself, there's still a lot of other things. And I just feel like he summarized it perfectly, because and my dad still communicates. So
Yeah.
I was walking with him one day, and we were at the end of the driveway. And I always let my dad go wherever he wants, just to have some sense of freedom. And then when we're done walking, I go, okay, dad, you have to follow me home now. Like, you have to trust me to get back home. And we do. We have this arrangement. I follow him, and then he has to follow me back home. So I get to the end of the driveway. We look both ways, and I'm like, okay, where do you want to go, dad? And he looked at me, and I think this was like the best summary of maybe all Alzheimer's patients. I'm overgeneralizing. But he looked at me, he said, well, what do you think is best for me?
Mm.
And it's just such a deep trust.
Yeah. Yeah.
Such a deep trust, because he knows I only want the best for him.
Yeah.
And even I tested him the last day I saw him. I was wanting to take him for ice cream, one last ice cream before I left, and he's never allowed ice cream. So I felt like, well, I want to take him for ice cream. So I was like, okay, dad, I want to take you somewhere. I was like, do you trust me? And he said, yeah, of course. And it was just like, I needed to hear that again of like, follow
Yeah.
me, dad. I'm going to take you somewhere that I know will make you happy. And he did. And then we got to ice cream, and we had a fun, magical, that's a whole other story just at ice cream, but like, and it was just nice, like his level of trust that we only want the best for him. So yeah, that message of thank you really hit something deep for my sister too.
Yeah, and when I do readings now for other people, and that message resonates a lot, and is repeated by the people with Alzheimer's a lot. Because they see what's going on. They know what is going on. Their physical self is still there. Their mind is still in there, and they see what you as a caregiver are doing, and they so deeply appreciate it. And like you said, that's a beautiful description, that they're more and more in their heart, that they want to thank you. They, again, a lot of times they don't know, they can't verbalize that thank you. And so it's so heartwarming to hear uh, the person with Alzheimer over and over again saying, tell them thank you. Tell them I see what you're doing. I recognize what you're doing. You're doing great. And thank you, thank you, thank you. And that's such a heartwarming message from them, that it's pretty universal, that's what they see and recognize and want you to know as the caregiver, that you are doing a good job. And we need to hear that as caregivers, because
Yeah.
again, it's just like it's 24/7, tough, most difficult thing I have ever done in my life. And it's really heartwarming and encouraging. it encourages you to keep going when you hear messages like that, like the big thank you.
Well, I know. And my dad's so full of compliments. Like he compliments everyone more now than he ever did when I was younger. So my little girl self
Yeah.
just loves all the compliments because
Yeah.
he's very vocal about them. And I remember just inviting some people he really enjoys to come visit, and he would just like have tears. He would just recognize these people and have tears in his eyes, and just like he'd just be like, I can't believe you came to visit me, I can't believe you came to visit me, like people may not think he would remember them or care, but my
Hmm.
dad like visually would. He would really be touched. So
Yeah. Yeah. Those are golden moments. Because you don't expect them either, right?
yeah.
Because they're so far gone, so to speak, that you don't think they may recognize somebody, and all of a sudden they do. My brother has Alzheimer's now, 63, and it's amazing. He doesn't recognize a lot of people. He doesn't know names. He calls every male person that comes into his life Steve, and like we have no idea where Steve came from. But yet, when I start walking up the driveway toward him, he's waving at me. And he's so excited to see me because he knows I'm somebody important in his life. And it's just so, again, so heartwarming and so fun to see them still in there. And I in my book, I encourage people, hold on to those moments, cherish those moments, keep those moments in your heart, because, as you know, with this disease, there's nothing constant except change in this disease.
Mm-hmm.
And today is going to be different than yesterday, and tomorrow is going to be different than today. And so hold on. That is such an important lesson I learned in the journey that I took on, is to be even more present to their situation and to whatever is happening right now. Be here right now, because a lot of caregivers have guilt, they have frustration over, gosh, you used to be able to do this. Why can't you do this now? I see that over and over again, and that's just, it's adding frustration to the caregiver, and it's adding, the person with the disease hears that and gets, some level of more of frustration, if not depression, because they start hearing what, you can't do this. And I'm
Yeah.
like, no, 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 no. Just whatever, you got to come down to their level. Whatever is happening in that moment is happening, and you just deal with it and go with it. Be compassionate, be kind to them, redirect, change the situation, so that they aren't frustrated. And don't go into the past, don't go into the future. Certainly try and plan into the future what you can, but as a caregiver, just be there in the moment with them and enjoy that ice cream. Enjoy their enjoyment of the ice cream. That's so critically important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my mom often says that, my dad is such an amazing teacher
Mhm.
regarding patience and living in the present moment,
Yeah.
which is a good life goal and lesson,
Yeah.
because not many of us live in the present, and you have no choice but to, when you're caregiving
Oh
with
yeah,
someone.
and
Yeah.
patience is the other key word too. It's, oh my gosh, I learned another level of patience. Be, because, yes, you can sit there and get mad at them for asking, can we go to the grocery store for the 10th time in 10 minutes? Or you can use tools that we learned as caregivers to redirect, to take deep breaths, to walk out of the room. As the caregiver, it's okay to walk out of the room and get away from Alzheimer's or dementia for a minute. I always had to make the distinction that the emotion that Denise is displaying and the anger and the frustration is Alzheimer's. It's dementia and not Denise. And I
Mhm.
kept having to remind myself that over and over again. And it helps so many times to walk out of the room, and just take a deep breath and come back. And a lot of times, then it's so much easier to deal with whatever that situation is. And the fortunate thing about I looked at this. There, you got to pull out the positives. The positive of Alzheimer's is you can walk out of the room, come back into that, conversation that you're having, and they're like, "What are you talking about?" They've forgotten about their anger, their angst, or whatever it was, and you just move on with life and deal with whatever is there right now. Yeah.
I really liked when you wrote in your book, one of the wisest sayings you've ever heard was from a professional in the Alzheimer's field that if you see one Alzheimer's patient, you have seen one Alzheimer's patient because each patient shows such different manifestations of this brain disease. So yeah, it's like we can't compare. We can't just say like blanket Alzheimer's and this is how they're going to be because yeah, it really does. I'm sure it manifests different with your brother than with Denise.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you think about think about individual people and how each of us have our own likes, dislikes, our own personalities, our own quirkinesses, or, things like stubbornness. I mean, and then so the disease manifests that way in that every patient is different. Yet the caregiving tools that we learn about work most of the time, 99% of the time, I would say, would work for an Alzheimer's patient in terms of redirecting, having patience, and several others that you can use those tools pretty universally. But you've just got to learn, of how that person in front of you has changed and who they are right now in this present moment. But yes, every Alzheimer's person is so different in their manifestation of the disease.
Hmm. I remember when I first had a meeting with you, I asked, I was like, so are you still in contact with Denise on the other side, wherever she may be? And I would love you to kind of give me your answer again on that.
Absolutely, yes. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and others too that have passed along. She comes through stronger than ever, and is really, you know, she was so smart. She was so clever. She was a clever person, smart, uh, really intuitive, both in her personal life and business life. And so a lot of times when I'm having, something going on business wise, I'll say, "Hey, Denise, what do you think should I do or what's going on here?" I'll ask her those kind of questions. Or with the kids, if something's going on with the kids, like, "What do you think, Denise?" And she'll come through and provides suggestions, if not answers. So yeah, absolutely. They don't disappear. They just go to this beautiful place, call it whatever you want to call it, heaven. I call it source, the universe. They go there and they are nothing but love. Love is
Mhm.
all they are, and it's just beautiful. Yes, and so other people have come to me. My dad, as I mentioned in the book, started. My dad passed away in 1985 when I was just in my 20s, and that was a tough one. That was a tough one to deal with, being so young and just I was at a point in my life where I was just starting to get to know him. I was in beginning of my business life. And so I was starting to talk to him about those kind of situations and all of a sudden he was taken from me and I was angry and had a lot of emotions around that. And shortly after I started communicating telepathically with Denise, Dad started popping in. And I'm like, "Whoa, hi. Long time no see. This is great. How are you doing?" And he was just this gentle guide and was a fun loving person. He loved cars, all things cars. He was a mechanical engineer, so of course he did. And so he would show me these images of him driving in a convertible car, hair flying, going hundreds of miles an hour, just having a fun time. And then all of a sudden, I would see telepathically Denise join him in the passenger seat. They're both driving down the highway and having a blast. And I'm like, it was so heartwarming to see the two of them together. And so this is a cool story. If I can go down this for a second here.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I met Denise probably 10 years after my dad passed away. So she knew about him, right? I would tell her a few stories about him, but never met him. He never met her, obviously, in the physical world. And but yet they started showing up telepathically in my mind and but telling me sometimes at the same time they were standing there next to me, telling me, try this, do this. And then they give me these images of them driving in these fast sports cars, just smiles on their face, having a blast. So I come one night, I'm putting Denise to bed in the physical world here, back to the physical world, and I'm putting her to bed. Read her a story. She's like a little kid again. She liked stories read to her, so I read her story and finished the story and said, Denise, have a great night's sleep. Have some fabulous dreams. She had her eyes closed. All of a sudden, she opens her eyes, looks at me straight in the eye, and said, I am really looking forward to getting to know your dad. And I just went silent, tears in my eyes, and it's like, JD, I didn't need validation that I was seeing and hearing my dad and Denise together, but my gosh, there it was. There it
Mhm.
was. They did not know each other, but yet she told me in her physical self, I'm looking forward to getting to know your dad. Like,
Yeah.
whoa,
Yeah.
whoa, yeah,
Yeah. He was there waiting to
yeah,
welcome her.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like everything you're sharing, um, it doesn't surprise me. Like this is all stuff
Right,
I know, but I'm gonna ask
right.
questions that maybe the audience or some listeners may be asking. I'm just trying to think of what they may be curious about. It's like because yeah, I consider myself clairaudient, intuitive,
Hmm.
and that means I hear messages, and often I've heard my grandmother's voice, like who try I hear that discernment. I know the difference between my ego and my higher self voice. Like I'm very good at that, and you sound like you're clairaudient, but also clairvoyant if you see these messages come. So that's fun as well. But how would you describe, who are you speaking to when Denise is asleep? Who are you like what are you connecting to?
Yeah, I like you said it. Yeah, I'm connecting to her higher self. I explain it to people that maybe consider it her soul or
Okay.
other people's soul. Obviously, it's just not Denise, but I call it her higher self. Also, I when I explain it, I say also think about when you get intuitive messages, okay, that, hey, you know what, maybe I should, when I come to this stoplight, I should turn right this time instead of going straight. That's an intuitive message that's coming from somewhere. You may necessarily not know where it's coming from, but you should turn right. So you turn right, and all of a sudden, wow, no traffic here. And you end up where you're supposed to go sooner. And so that's your higher self. That intuition that you're hearing is your higher self. Maybe sometimes a guide or two, that may be coming in, but generally it's your higher self. Your intuition is your higher self saying, try this time, okay? And listen. And it's so important in the work I learned early on to say yes, accept that your intuition is good, has the right message for you at the right time, and to go with it. But back to your question, yes, I'm communicating, and you, as you do too, with your higher self or someone else's higher self or soul. That's the absolute core work of what we do as telepathy communicators.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's my belief. But how do you define a higher self? How do you perceive the higher self?
Yeah, it's just it's who we are when we shed ourselves of these bodies, of our
Hmm.
physical self. When we pass away, we return to source, to the universe, which is all love, all caring, all compassion, and that is the core of who we are as we shed our physical bodies, and that's who I communicate with is that person, so to speak, that soul that is composed entirely of love and compassion. So, yeah, that's who it is. And again, it's our intuition, it's our higher self, it's our soul that we're communicating with. And we all end up back there. This is just temporary,
Yeah.
who we are, and I think we could spend hours talking about soul work and higher selves and where we go after we shed this temporary vessel that we're in. But yeah, that's what I tap into is that person's soul. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I know. I can't wait to have more recordings with you about other fun topics like all of that,
Yeah.
reincarnation and soul and split soul and all of the things because yeah, I just, for years, like even since I was a little girl, one of my dreams was to be an intuitive animal communicator. And so I've written books and I do workshops and I did that for years teaching people like we all have this ability. It's not
Yeah.
for a select few, it's a muscle that we just need to practice. We just need to prioritize and practice and slowly build the trust and confidence like with anything. And, I may be a little bit farther along like you are because we practice this. We trust our intuition. And,
Mhm.
and it, for me, my intuition helps me every single day. It comes to me like for the littlest things. It's not big life changing things. Like for my
Right.
latest example was yesterday, I was relaxing on the dock with my dog, just relaxing. And I got this intuitive hit, book a grooming appointment for your dog on this date in a couple months from now, and out of the blue. And I've learned just not to question my intuition. It's like, okay,
Mhm.
fine. I just do what my intuitive sights tell me. Like I in my life is so easy that way. So I immediately got that message, sent a text message, and I asked for, the morning of one day in a couple months from now. And she replied back, she's like, oh, sorry, it's completely full. And I was like, weird. Well, okay. Well, do you have any other availability that week? Like, okay. And then I don't know, 5 minutes later, she replies back. She's like, I just had an unexpected cancellation for that morning. I'm like, yeah, my intuition's too fast now. Like it just like it expects me to, I don't know, wait 5 minutes, but I don't wait 5 minutes anymore. I act immediately and I'm like, okay, good. Like I was kind of starting to question my intuition, like, well, that's so unlike me. Usually I'm quite accurate. It's like,
Mhm.
no, I'm accurate.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's these little things that build our confidence.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, even the other way too. Sometimes people say, "Well, I went with my intuition, and God, it was just so painful. Whatever happened, it's so painful." I tell them, wait a minute. It just meant that you had that lesson. Look at it, that painful situation, whatever it was. Somebody yelled at you that you didn't expect. That's a growth experience. That is in your plan to experience that. Then your intuition was guiding you to that painful experience so that you can grow, not to put you in harm's way, but so that you can grow. So yes, keep trusting that intuition. And every once in a while, yeah, the universe throws us this little zinger that we don't expect. But keep going, trusting your intuition, trusting that little voice in your head is so important because the example I use is like when I first heard Denise say, "Talk to me," it was like a door. The door cracked open. And I didn't at the time, I say it now, but what I did was I just kept pushing that door wider and wider, kept it opening up. And the more you do that, the more you accept that voice, that intuition that you hear, the more you say thank you to that voice, the wider that door opens, and more intuition, things start falling in place into your life. And to your point, great point, your life tends to be a lot more joyful and satisfying and fun because you are accepting those messages and you're trusting in yourself and in your intuition. So
Yeah.
love that. And so open, open, open is what I always tell people. Stay open.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, one of the real points why we're talking today is because I want people to know about your book and your work.
Hmm.
And so, do you think, I just had this random thought, do you think that, the Alzheimer's patients are actually finding you,
Oh, yes.
sending the caregivers to, yeah, yeah,
Yes, I have received many messages, and as you mentioned, I see things, okay,
yeah.
and I'll do meditation is an important part of my life, and what I do as a practice every day. I will see. It's really cool. So I will see all these people standing in front of me, and they aren't necessarily. I don't see faces. I just see kind of amorphous people standing in front of me, and I know they are Alzheimer's people, and they are coming up, walking up to me, saying, "Talk to me, talk to me." And my message back to them is let your caregiver know I am here so
Hmm.
that I can help both of you. So yeah, absolutely, absolutely, they're coming to me, and I purposefully reach out to the caregivers telepathically and say, "Here I am. I'm, please contact me. Your loved one is out there wanting to talk to you, wanting to say thank you, and to tell me about some situation that's going on that they want fixed, so to speak, or they want something else to eat other than what you're giving them. Simple things like that sometimes. So yeah, yeah, absolutely. They're out there. They're wanting to talk. So yeah, so that was another reason. I wrote the book for many reasons, but that was one of the main reasons was to let caregivers know that I'm here and can help. Absolutely. And I have my website, Soul to Soul Communication. People can find me there, and let's talk.
Let's talk. Yeah, I feel like telepathy is our innate, I don't know, capacity. We're back, I think back in the day when we were little, when humanity was maybe more enlightened. I don't know. I don't even know how to say this,
Hmm.
but I think this is a skill that we all have and we've forgotten it. And I
Hmm.
feel like this is just some idea I have, but that Alzheimer's and the silent ones, as you call them, are really there to help us push us to this next level of communication. Um, and they're going to be helping us. And I hope more and more people will trust their first intuition in their own life, but also the messages that they receive, because I think this is the future. Even with my friends now who can communicate, we don't even need to communicate. We're like, oh, language is just so slow. Like we just, communicate telepathically now, of when we need to see each other, or what we want to do or whatever.
Yeah,
And
do you have those friends that they pop in your head and you go like, oh, I need to call him or I need to call her, and then all of a
yeah,
sudden they call you, right?
yeah, yeah.
That's you're right. That is happening between us all the time, and it's a matter of tuning into that message and trusting it and going with it. Absolutely. And I viewed so I kind of say too that there's always two ways to view Alzheimer's. One, yes, it is a horrible disease. But yet, I got so many positives out of it. Obviously, the telepathic communication was one of them. Learning to be more patient, to trust my intuition explicitly, and to help others. I tell people all the time that I didn't shy away from being a caregiver. I embraced that role, and I became a better person because of it. And that's my hope for others that are going through this journey too, is to try as much as possible and embrace the positives of your day with the person with Alzheimer's. Laugh as much as you can. Try and make them laugh. As you mentioned, humor with your dad is important to both of you, right? And that's what I tell other caregivers. try and laugh as much as you can, embrace. And that's why I put, excuse me, I put those humorous stories. I intersperse those in the book because let's face it, it is a heavy subject. So I wanted to break it up a little bit, but also know that there were many, many humorous situations that happened that she and I could both share again, and I could share with the world as well, that there are very funny moments in Alzheimer's caregiving.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Well, yeah, I would love to end on that positive note. I can't wait to continue our conversation, our next one on everything spiritual, because I feel like we could just talk about the most out there things. But in the meantime, I want everyone to go out, buy Dan's book, and reach out, go to your website. Do you want to say your website one more time?
Yeah, Soul to Soul. That's SOULTOSOUL communications.com. And learn more about me, book a session if you want, reach out. And the book is on Amazon, Unbelievable, Unforgettable, Unbelievable. And yeah, check it out.
I love that. Thank you so much for your time today, Dan.
Thank you, JD. I appreciate it.
Thanks.